Hey, what's up, y'all? Today we're going to be taking a look at Mist of Noyah, and I'm going to give a shout out to the developers for sending me an early review code. With that out of the way, let's get into the bad as always for full transparency. This game is a mashup of multiple different genres. You have elements of tower defense, survival, RPGs, platformers, and roguelike games all mixed into one. And while this does make for a unique experience, it ultimately ends up being a double-edged sword. The bulk of this game is simply way too busy, and the absence of a tutorial mode make matters even worse. There's simply too much going on here, and it's a lot to take in all at once, even with the beginning of the game easing you into things. I was still overwhelmed with the sheer amount of items, equipment, and conflicting design choices I was presented with. For example, there is no pause button even though this game has an expansive menu and inventory system that both can take a significant amount of time to navigate. In addition to this, the crafting can also be time consuming, and with the nature of the tower defense aspect being time sensitive, this is all counterintuitive in my opinion. And this brings me to my next point regarding the pause button. This game is filled with glitches, technical issues, and bugs. During my playtime, I encountered a glitch that caused the game to save multiple times in a row, completely at random. From my experience, this issue was tied to one specific character, and what you're seeing on screen is not me hitting the start button, it's the game trying to save continuously and is forcing me to stay in place and basically stare at the menu screen. On top of this, I ran into black screens, collision detection issues, and the inactivity bug. Now, the black screens are basically self-explanatory. The screen just went black. You can still hear the game audio. You can still hear yourself moving and attacking, but you cannot see anything. And the collision detection issues, they were minor like me falling through the level, or they were major like me getting stuck in the environment. And this basically forced me to, reset the game. Same thing with the black screens. Now, the inactivity bug was kind of minor. Randomly, I would get hit with just not being able to attack. I'd have to usually go to my menu, my inventory menu, and it would fix the bug. But overall, all of these glitches happen far too often and far too frequently. And along with this, I also had issues with the controls. They were simultaneously over-responsive and unresponsive, with the attack button being insanely sensitive, while the interact button was blatantly unresponsive when entering buildings. And when I say blatantly unresponsive, I mean blatantly unresponsive. Sometimes it required as much as 6 different button presses before I would finally enter into a building or go through a portal. Aside from the glitches, the resource gathering is also needlessly grindy and time consuming. You can upgrade your gathering tools, but the amount of resources can still require an unrealistic investment to gather. The PC version actually alleviates this problem by allowing multiplayer, but sadly this feature is absent from all of the console ports, and while they've slightly adjusted some of the requirements to compensate, you can still clearly see and feel that this game is designed around being a multiplayer game. I was also disappointed by the uninspired quest and level design. Every quest is completely centered around killing enemies, gathering resources, and crafting. All this quickly fills up your inventory, as completing quests also unlocks a wide variety of items and equipment, alongside slowly advancing the game's progression meter towards unlocking a loot chest, further filling up your inventory. While the vast majority of the level design is the first 4 maps recycled continuously with randomly generated enemy placement, and this led to me being attacked or killed as soon as I enter certain locations. Sometimes you even spawn underwater with you running out of air while the loading screen is still loading. It's a lot of design choices that are just bad, and it's a lot of problems that you can see that clearly weren't playtested. And lastly, aside from a few scrolls, there's no story or dialogue here at all. And this wouldn't bother me as much if the game wasn't designed to be a massive time sink. This game expects you to invest a ridiculous amount of time in its game world with no context or explanation for anything or anyone outside the vague descriptions on the store page and the character bios at the selection screen. All of these problems quickly compound as the core gameplay loop becomes boring and tedious, and you blindly wrestle with the frustrating, poorly implemented mechanics stacked on top of each other. Alright, let's talk about some of the things I actually liked about this game. This game offers an impressive amount of equipment and weapons, along with multiple ways to improve your character, such as perks, talents, and more. I enjoy the variety of playstyles and the depth of progression between the 5 available characters. I also like that you have the ability to swap worlds between characters, and all characters share the same inventory across game worlds. This game really shines when it focuses on just being a side-scroller adventure game with survival and roguelike elements. And while the visuals are nothing special, this game's art style definitely has an undeniable visual charm, coupled with this nostalgic background music. Once I figured out how the game works and where everything is located, things became a lot smoother for me. And this kind of highlights the damage done by not having a tutorial. I also enjoyed the difficulty dynamic around the day-night cycle, with enemies becoming more dangerous during the night, and certain enemy types appearing exclusively during the night. Now you also have dungeons for late game players. These come with 3 different difficulties that can change the rewards and challenges. They also have their own boss that's unlocked after killing 10 enemies, multiple traps, checkpoints, and far more dangerous enemies. Now aside from that, it's basically the same as the rest of the level design. And while this is a roguelike, deaths are handled like your standard RPG to where you only lose gold every time you die. After surviving for 7 days, the game switches over into tower defense mode as the corrupted creatures will raid your home city and try to destroy your crystal. If they are successful, the world is no longer playable and you lose all your progress. Sadly, I never experienced this because raids are completely random, but honestly I don't think it would have affected my opinion much after playing almost 10 hours. I'm going to give this game a 5.5. Now, I actually did like it, but two of the main things that dragged the score down was the fact that there were so many bugs and glitches, and the fact that this game does not have multiplayer. Now, I will admit it also had a couple of issues with the genre blending. I felt like that literally was a bit too much, and it kind of did detract from the experience. But honestly, it was the glitches and the lack of multiplayer. I feel like if this game was just in a better state, I probably would have given it like a 7, maybe a 7.5, because I actually like what they're trying to do here. I find myself playing this and actually enjoying it until I run into the glitches. But aside from that, I can actually recommend the PC version. Now, I don't know how the PC version is as far as glitches go, but I don't think I've seen anyone complain about the issues that I've ran into on the PlayStation 4 version. Well, anyway, man, I hope y'all enjoyed the video. Let me know what y'all think in the comment section. I'm going to try to do more indie games like this. I actually do like indie games. I don't just play AAA titles. So I'm kind of glad to do this review. Hopefully y'all enjoyed the video, man. Like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.